And we told you we have an interview with Alhassan Suhuyini, former broadcaster, but now Tamale North Member of Parliament. And we're here to speak on a number of issues, well, particularly not only his person, but also his work on the Appointment Committee of Parliament. And you know that he's been causing waves per his activities on the vetting of various designated ministers or nominees by President Akufo-Addo. And you can get interactive on Facebook, Join Us on TV, and also on our Twitter handle at Join Us on TV. And I have to say very good morning to you, my good friend.
Good morning, Roland. Very good to see you.
Yeah, very good to see. Thank you too. It's been a while. But more importantly, how have you been relishing your initiation days in Parliament?
Well, I will just say, Alhamdulillah, I thank God for, the opportunity to be in Parliament and to be on the Appointments Committee. I, first of all, also thank my constituents, Tamale North, for giving me the opportunity because, but for them, I wouldn't even be qualified to be considered to be on the Appointments Committee. So I'm grateful to them, and I am happy that so far, the indication I get from them is that they are comfortable with what I have been doing on the Appointments Committee. And I'm grateful to the NDC as a party and especially the leadership of the NDC in Parliament for considering me worthy enough to serve on the committee.
Some few weeks ago, we also had in the studio the Ofuasia Yoruba Member of Parliament, Kujo Ponkroma, who is also new like you in Parliament, has experienced the other side of the management of the country, being a member of the Fourth Estate of the Realm, etc. How different is it during the transition?
You know, when I was on radio, I used to tell people that, yes, my shows may be of political nature, but I always denied when people said I was a politician because I used to say I talk politics. I, at the time, didn't do politics. I didn't think I was doing politics, and it was difficult for me because of where I worked, the perception that whoever works there, it's political and all of that. But I used to talk politics. So the difference now is that now I'm doing politics. So there is a vast difference between the two. What you do, I know your show is not usually all about political stuff, but you talk politics. You report on politics. You report on what politicians do. That's different. You tend to know a lot about politics, that there can be that temptation of an observer to classify you as a politician. That happened to me when I was, on radio. But now I'm feeling it. I can see the difference between doing politics and talking politics, and it's not the same.
I see. How do your constituents, for example, relate to you? Even let's just go back. Within the period of the electioneering, and there was just a transition within the same period of political campaigning when you had to just switch to the other side, campaigning at the primaries and then winning subsequently. How was the relationship like with those you had to appeal to?
Well, it was exciting, it was enriching, it was enlightening for me. I got to even learn more about my own traditions and culture, and I got to learn more about the people that I thought I had always known all my life. Politics is something else. I mean, it gives you that opportunity to learn so much. I don't think you can get that kind of tuition in any classroom, no matter how much you pay for it. So for me, it was a new, arena and an opportunity for me to also reach deep into myself and come up with something new. I had been on radio for over a decade, and I just was used to that terrain. And maybe one thing I didn't say earlier is the opportunity to ask questions without anybody overruling it. Now I ask questions on the Appointment Committee and it can be overruled, but that's just by the way. But for me, it was like reconnecting. I was born, bred, and dedicated in Tamale. I only came to Accra, yes, for further education, but also I continued with the broadcasting that I started in Tamale. I thought I had always been in touch with the people because I always visited until I decided to run for office, and I realized that 9 or 10 years was such a big gap because all of a sudden, people I met who were politically active only heard about me from their siblings, their senior siblings. They had no recollection of my exploits on radio in Tamale, you know, and it was such a difficult thing. So one of the charges was that you are a stranger. And it surprised me many times when people believed it and asked me to explain and convince them that I wasn't a stranger, because I thought I had just, you know, stayed out of Tamale for just 8 years. And even within the 8 years I visited. So how come you can remember that I was that person on radio that excited the town and all of that? But, you know, 8 years is such a big, you know, time in politics. That was the first shock for me. And fortunately, I was able to overcome during our primaries and emerged the NDC's candidate out of about 6 other contestants, heavyweights indeed. But God was on my side, and the people decided that I was the one they wanted to represent them, you know, on the NDC ticket. And the campaign process too was not an easy one, even though many people predicted that I was going to win, and I was very confident that I was going to win, but I didn't take it for granted because I was up against not just the New Patriotic Party, but an incumbent, you know, independent member of parliament. And he won as an independent member of parliament in 2012 and was running again as an independent candidate. So you could not just write him off because he had a base that you needed to, you know, tap into. But with the support of the constituency executives, with the support of the members who believed in me, you know, we had a coordinating team. We were able to devise ways and means to overcome and to win.
And of course, the election was convened, and we saw the party lose a lot of the seats, and that also, you being in parliament, has positioned you or cocooned you in a certain, I would say, shell. How difficult is that for your side of the house?
Well, personally, I think it's difficult for me, but it also kind of it's making me work harder, and I think that I needed that. I'm sure if I had gone to Parliament, even though that's what I expected, and served on the majority side, maybe I wouldn't have learned as much as I am learning today. You would have been too busy with other stuff that would have taken you mostly away from Parliament and stuff like that. But I was hoping to be on the majority side. I was hoping that with the good works of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, I could also, you know, tap into it and be that pipeline through which projects and development could reach my people. Yes, there's this known debate over whether a member of parliament is supposed to champion development or, you know, be a legislator. I think that there's no difference. I think that even as a country, we have embraced it. That is why we have even modified our laws to allow for some share of the common fund to go to the member of parliament. So to some extent, the member of parliament is expected to champion development, and that was my motivation. I thought that the government was doing very well, and all the people in various constituencies needed was somebody who could be that liaison or that pipe through which they could also get their share of development. And that is why I put myself up. Unfortunately, it didn't go well across the country, even though it was super in Tamale North, because for the first time, the NDC won in all the polling stations in the constituency. But because it didn't go well, we don't have a president, and we are working in opposition. But I believe that that is also not bad. I have never believed, I've never doubted God's plans. I think that it always ends well, and sometimes even better than you expected. So I'm very confident that we will become a stronger party by this defeat, and by 2020 the NDC will be flying again.
And not long after you being in parliament, you were asked to serve on the appointments committee.
Right.
How did that come about? Were you chosen by what means? Was it by your side of the house or the leadership?
Yes, it was by the side of the minority leadership, and it came to me as a surprise. I mean, but I was pleasantly surprised, I must add, because I am told that the Appointments Committee is one of the committees that many people, want to serve on. And so for me to be considered out of, the lot to serve on the committee was surprising, but a pleasant one at that. And that is why I initially said I'm very grateful to the leadership of my side for considering me worthy to serve on that very, very important committee, because just 10 of us from the minority side were supposed to be on that committee. And for them to think that among the new members, I know there are other very capable ones, among us, but for them to at the time think that I should be on that committee, it's really edifying, and I thank them for that. But the other committees that other members are serving on,
that you also serve on,
that
too.
I also serve.
But the Appointments Committee is where he's become a lot more infamous, if not famous already, as a young MP. Now, let's just watch this insert.
I am not happy with the way that I am treated on this committee. Mr. Chairman, I want it on record that I never impugned ill motives to the nominee. I simply referred to scandals and sought to find out how he left the bank, so we assure ourselves that he had no role in those scandals, because a vice president was held responsible and he also left as vice president. I never impugned ill motive. I never accused him, and I would like that to be on record that I am not happy about the way you have treated me on this committee.
Honorable Suhuyini, you're not ready to ask a question. I'll move on
to my next question.
No, I've ruled you out. I'm asking another person too.
Very interesting there. You throwing your arms up. But how has the initiation been? And we've all been watching the proceedings of the Appointments Committee within the vetting process.
Yeah.
Looks like you don't seem to be different sides of the divide, as they say.
I think it's sometimes you just wonder what we really want as a country. I mean, there maybe it's because people are too suspicious of motives and all of that. I'm free-spirited. I do the best that I can in every situation that I am put in, and I leave the rest to God. I don't take things personal. So, some may see you as somebody who is there to, just make people look bad, to paint them in lights that they will be ridiculed. But that has never, ever crossed my mind. I mean, all I am interested in is, are there issues? Are there issues that are relevant enough to be addressed? Once I am convinced that there's an issue that should be addressed, I have no fears at all, raising those issues. So it's been challenging, but I think that it's also strengthened me, because some of the questions that are overruled or that make people panic and get them jittery shouldn't have, unless of course we are not interested in the in what is good for this country. Because I like I was saying there, I don't ask the questions that I ask suggesting that the people are guilty. I ask the questions, to elicit assurances and to also get, confirmation that they can best serve the people of Ghana.
But coming from where you're coming from, you work with Radio Gold. You had served, of course, as a fine broadcaster, etc. But people know where you're coming from. So when you ask questions, people know you've been a journalist on the side. And so when you ask some questions, just like we all do, sounds mischievous in a way, laced with a lot of sarcasm and some political incorrectness.
Well, that's the word. I'm beginning to understand that word better. Political incorrect, because I mean, people admit to you that no, there are good issues you are raising, but politically, and I'm like, what is the difference? What do we really want? Do we want people to be served better? Do we want the people to have confidence in those that are supposed to serve them? Or do we just act on this stage and move on? You know, so I mean, for example, the question, the issue that I was protesting, you know, a while ago in that clip. What is the challenge, Roland? You work here, and if one day you are going to an institution to work, and then I know there hasn't been any scandal here, but assuming there were scandals here, especially, you know, of the nature that I talked about in relation to the Bank of New York, very big scandals, and you worked here for, you know, maybe 3 years, 5 years, and the scandals happened at the time that you were here, and you were even at management level. If you go to any institution for another job, and on your CV you indicate that you come from this institution at the period that these scandals happened at management level, let's be fair, will the panel not ask you if you ever played any role, if you were even
you
at
mean they were
any
just
point
innocent
in
questions you were
time,
asking?
yes, if at any point in time you were even queried or asked to, you know, cooperate with any investigative body, it's only natural. It's only natural, you know. But I was shocked that people, you know, read it in a different way and made it seem like you were out there to get people. I mean, if they are witches, I am for hunting them. I will hunt when I think that you have to be hunted down. That I am not afraid of. I've never been afraid to walk alone. I've never been afraid to stand, you know, with the unpopular when I'm convinced that it is the right place.
Okay, so let's watch how it transpired.
The Justice Department in New York filed civil suits against the bank alleging a decade-old foreign currency fraud. Now the question is, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, I have tried earlier, but you go out on social media assaulting that I'm trying to prevent you from asking questions. That's why I'm indulging you. But this is clearly breaching our Rules Order 67. Can you please go on to your question? What has the bank's prosecution of others, not the candidate, not the nominee here, got to do with us?
Thank you. I'll ask the question now. Thank you. I'll ask the question now. Now, can you, based on this record of the bank that you worked with at the time that you worked, can you kindly?
I guess I may also need to address an aspect of the question that you asked. That, yes, you said he's claiming that he worked at a particular location. If indeed he worked there, that seriously is questioning the integrity of the person. And unless you have evidence to prove that he didn't work there, you cannot phrase the question that way. Clearly very offensive. Colleague, and I was not here in the morning. I don't know what the chairman is talking about, but I will plead with you that in formulating and framing your questions, please be very careful and address your mind to our rules of procedure. With respect to you.
I hope you take a cue and please be advised. Go on.
Thank you. So the foundation still stands. And the question is, can you kindly briefly, tell us your work at the bank, how you were engaged, how you were discontinued, how you discontinued working with the bank, and perhaps later furnish us with the document that shows how you left the bank, so we can assure ourselves as a nation that you at no particular point in time played any role in these scandals that I have hinted at. Thank you.
Your question, the last, is overruled. If you want another question, please go on, but please nominate disregard and the part relating to order.
I can answer, Mr. Chairman.
Order.
Mr. Chairman.
Order. Please, if you want to answer.
Suhuyini, these proceedings are trying to paint you as a maverick. Somebody who is a non-conformist, Suhuyini.
Well, I will not fight that tag, because truly I find it difficult to conform when I'm not convinced that I should. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being different. You know, what surprises me is the haste with which people judge you, you know, and judge your intentions without even allowing you to prove yourself. I mean, if you notice the interjections, you just made it look as if you were with some candidate and you needed to be controlled. But really, the question is there. I mean, anybody employing a worker will want to know if the worker comes from an institution with the background such as the one I spoke of, will want to know that this new person I'm getting into my company, you know, did not play any role in these scandals. And mind you, Roland, since he left the bank in 2007, he did no work. He did no work.
It doesn't mean anything to him.
It doesn't. It could also. Granted, it doesn't mean anything, but it can also mean something. He never has been to the United States of America again, not even to visit. It could mean nothing. There are choices. It could mean something. True? So what is wrong if I find out and I am told it means nothing?
And again, to you, it was just an innocent question. And
Just
when the
tell
finance
me.
minister appeared before there, you asked a very question that was seemed to have been overly or deemed to be overly sensitive about his involvement in an offshore company. And we know that the role he's played in data bank and all the investments around also not seem to have been welcome.
And that also surprised me. You see, the finance minister is going to be the #1 tax collector in Ghana. The finance minister, I am sure, will be responsible for the movement of a lot of money. Not his personal money, but moving money on our behalf. Huge sums of money. He will be responsible. And the finance minister has an interest in a company that is registered in a tax haven.
Where exactly did you say it was?
That's Panama Islands.
Where we had the...
Frontier Alliance Limited. That's the name of the company. And he did not declare his interest in that company.
To you as a
To us as a committee. I found out somewhere that he had an interest in this company that is considered a tax haven. Now, again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a company that is, you know, in the brackets that the Frontier Alliance is. There's nothing wrong legally. But there is also international acceptability that such companies are the best companies to use to evade tax and to launder money. Yes, there's nothing wrong having the company there. But internationally, it's also accepted that when you want to easily launder money or evade tax, you need companies such as that. So what is wrong if our finance minister, who is going to be the #1 tax collector, assures us that yes, indeed, I have interest in this company and I intend never to use it, you know, as an example of how to evade tax or I intend never to use it to launder money. And at least just declare it so we know the level of interest, so you and I can monitor. I mean, he said the interest in it was insignificant. Yes, that's a good answer. But what is insignificant? That's relative. What is significant to you may not be significant to me. So what is the interest? Declare it, and maybe it's good for us to know the level of significance so we can keep a tap on it and monitor it. So when it changes, then we can raise questions. Remember, because of such companies, even the British Prime Minister was once asked to resign. And it wasn't because he owned a company there, because his father had companies there. He was asked to resign. But in Ghana, it was politically incorrect.
Well, we've even had a Prime Minister of Iceland resigning as a result of his interest.
But in Ghana,
and following those files from that very law firm, we've had a number of personalities around the world questioned, notably on their interest in many offshore companies. Is really a big issue for many countries.
But in Ghana, and their involvement,
etc. But we also know about the difficulties that companies have had dealing with African government and the type of capital flight that is in and out of the continent. All right.
Yeah. So I was just asking an innocent question.
It was?
Yes.
Not your journalistic instinct at work?
Well, that was at work.
You want to be the Anas of
that was
the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana.
I've told some of my colleagues that I want to remain a representative of the journalists in Parliament. Those questions that we sit in our studios and ask it, and the issues we wonder about, let's begin to ask them on the floor through me. Let me be that.
You want to be like a U.S. senator. But we've been having some responses to you following our interactions so far. And on social media, on Facebook, where you can find our page, Joy News on TV, we've had some of your comments in there. Straight away, I have to read a couple of them to you. This one is from Alhassan Joseph. Suhuyini, the people of Tamale North are proud of you. Keep on exposing the corrupt MPP government. You're the kind of MP we need in the NDC. And Napoleon Lochu says, I wish we could have 5 types of Suhuyini in Parliament to keep the majority on their toes. Just keep pushing. Don't be disturbed by what the chairman of the appointments committee will do to some of the members of the committee. And A.B. Lincoln, he should keep up the good work he has started. More haters will come his way, but he shouldn't give in. God will be his witness. Lincoln Wesley Santana, good morning. I only have one question for him. Why did he label multimedia as an anti-NDC platform? He's now there playing ostrich. Thank you. And Oforidan, so George, what does he really want to achieve on this bribery scandal on the energy minister designate? And now Augustine is asking why they are refusing to endorse ministerial nominees who do not succumb to the antics. And we have Inusa Beseba says, Honorable, I've seen a WhatsApp discussion on Facebook between you and Honorable Mahama Yariga on the alleged corruption in Parliament. How true is that as well?
It's fake. It's fake.
It's fake.
It's fake. I saw it yesterday. I was in Tamale attending to some social events when they WhatsApped it to me. I mean, I get shocked at the length people will go just to discredit you because perhaps they find you maybe too difficult to handle. I mean, Ayarga knows my name very well and will not spell my name wrongly, in a chat. And why will Ayarga start a chat with me by mentioning my name? If it's our personal chats, we just say hello and hi. Now, the mistake they also made, maybe I should be teaching them next time they want to do such a fake thing, they can do it better. I mean, you see the encrypted thing up there, suggesting that Ayarga and I have never had a chat on Facebook.
Perhaps maybe you deleted his previous chat.
Why will I delete his previous chat? To hide what? Maybe from who? So it just doesn't make sense. Some people just sat down and manufactured it.
And talking about Ayarga, you are one of 3 musketeers who are now crusading following a petition you have put before the Speaker, which ultimately has resulted in the constitution of a committee to investigate a bribery allegation against one nominee who appeared before you, of course, now Energy Minister, etc. How did that come about? How did you decide to take such a decision?
Well, I wish I could tell you a lot about it. Unfortunately, I can't because
it's under investigations.
The Speaker, even in referring it to the committee that he tasked to look at this, you know, advise members of the House not to talk about it anymore in the media, but he encouraged the general public and the media to keep on, you know, they could keep on discussing it, but he discouraged members of Parliament from, you know, further discussing the matter in the media. That's the reason why I cannot tell you all that I know about this matter, but I am hoping that the truth will be established at the end of the day.
Has the committee started work?
I am sure they have, but I haven't been called yet.
You haven't been called yet?
Yes, and I'm expecting to be called at some point in time, yes.
So it
because
means
Honorable Joe Gate is supposed to be the chairman of the committee.
So it means that among you are in a better relationship with Okujeto Ablakwa and Ayariga?
In terms of
the relationship.
Well, I am in terrific relationship with almost all the NDC MPs. I mean, most of us are new, and I mean, you know, my relationship with the leadership is also impeccable. I mean, we discuss a lot of things together. I get a lot of coaching and advice also from them. I have a few, you know, people on the majority side too who I can say that I have some very good relationship with. So, and even staff of Parliament. I mean, it's been exciting, you know, making new friends, people very willing to help and encourage you and show you around. So I have very good relationship with many people in Parliament, including Mama Ayarga and Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. In fact, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa and I go way back. We were together at Radio Gold. He was regular on Alhaji, and I was the host. And Mama Ayarga, I can't even remember when we became friends, but we've been very close for a very long time. Yeah.
And it's good then that you have great relationship with the leadership, including the minority leader.
I mean, he and I share boundaries because he's Tamale South, I'm Tamale North. And he's been a big brother for a very long time. And I mean, I will say this, he was one of the reasons I'm sure that I even stayed in Accra after my education, because he encouraged me to stay. I wanted to go back and all that. So our relationship goes beyond politics, and so it's good. I mean, it's helpful. Honorable Bagbin, it's like a godfather to me. I mean, he has always, since I decided to do this shift from the studio to Parliament, he's been a very rich resource. He, together with Uncle Totobi Kwachi and others, they have been very, very, you know, supportive, and they have.
Does it mean in Parliament currently, just because of the learning process, you may consult, for example, the minority leader on some issues or the other, if you want to take a decision or perhaps try to learn something new?
Oh yes, I mean, and because of the appointments committee, the work of the appointment committee, we get to meet almost every morning before we go to the, you know, committee sittings. So at that point, you are able to share ideas, you are able to bounce off things, you know, bounce things off each other and see the way forward. Wow. So yes, we meet.
So I'm sure then that you may have consulted them when you were putting together the petition. That would look interesting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wish I could tell you more about the issue, but you know, the Speaker has enormous powers, and his powers cannot be questioned under our standing orders. He can actually suspend me from Parliament, you know that. So it's risky defying his orders.
I don't know that. I'm not an MP,
if not, I would have defied it and told you so much. I can see that you are very interested in the petition, and that's good. I mean, I think that the public should show a lot of interest. I think that the media should show a lot of interest. Who knows? It could just lead to reforms that will serve our country better.
The Honorable Muntaka, who is a member of Parliament for Asawasi, is also part of the leadership.
Yeah. He's like a big brother too.
He is?
He's like a big brother. I mean,
he was on radio and TV swearing that whatever your colleague who is part of the petition, petitioner said was not true. Yeah,
I mean, all of that I'm sure will be subject for discussion at the committee. You know, so, you know, whether it was necessary or not, whether he was right or wrong, I'm sure the committee will address all of that. Yes, but he's a fantastic person to deal with. I mean, yes, I've seen that a lot of our party folks haven't been very happy with him, but hey, I mean, that's the nature of politics. Today, you are hailed, tomorrow you are crucified. But I am sure he's taking it in his stride. And perhaps at the right time, he will either be vindicated or...
and you also, by the way you're talking, don't seem to be happy with him either.
No, he's a big brother. I have a good relationship with Muntaga. In fact, let me just tell you this. On Friday when I was leaving Parliament, I told him I'll come and he will help me fill my asset declaration form. So from here I'll be going there. That's how.
Are you sitting today?
Yes, we'll be vetting 3 nominees today. Yes, also chairman.
So since the incident, you haven't sat down, or before then you didn't sit down, whether you wanted to put together the petition and all that?
We've been meeting, like I said, every time we go for...
So you consulted them before the 3 of you put together the petition?
Roland, again, I'll tell you, I wish I could tell you so much. But yes, I mean, this was, if you heard the minority leader, when Jose Owusu, moved the motion and requested the speaker to grant him some reliefs to sue and all that, when the minority leader spoke on the floor of Parliament, he said he supported the petition. He spoke in support of the petition. And it was based on the petition that a committee was set up. So that should tell you that broader consultations happen.
Before the petition?
Of course, that's why it has support.
Anyway, you've been at my side before.
So I know what you are doing.
Anyway, but we know that a committee has been constituted at the party level to look at why the NDC fell from grace to grass and was really the victim of that huge margin of defeat. How's it going?
I haven't really closely followed the proceedings of that committee. I want to believe that they are doing a good job. I think they should. But I will also wish that at the local levels, people show a lot of interest in trying to find out what might have caused our defeat, at the branch constituency levels. I think that is where the meat is. I think that is where we have to fix. Whatever, the top does, it will have to be, accepted and implemented by the people at the grassroots. So I think even at the grassroots level, branch chairman, constituency chairman, the women organizers should also in their own way be interested in finding out why they lost at polling station A, why they lost at polling station B, and begin to, recommend ways if they are not capable of solving the problems that led to such defeats. They begin to recommend those ways perhaps to the bigger team that has been formed.
But let's look at it this way. You were involved in electioneering, campaigning, trying to solicit votes and winning by the margins by which you won. What do you think on a personal level, away from what the committee would do, as a member of the NDC, as an interested person in the next elections or in how the party runs, what are some of the reasons why perhaps you may surmise will be the reasons why the defeat was huge?
Well, a lot of things played, a part. But generally speaking, I think that Ghanaians were just impatient. Is it Ghanaians or I think the world, let me put it well, the world has become very impatient. And it's also perhaps because of the explosion that we are experiencing as far as social media is concerned. And a lot of people have, that we are beginning to crave quick fixes. And that is why in Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan couldn't survive. That is why even in the US, when Hillary Clinton was tipped to win, we had what we have on our hands now, and you can relate to what has happened in Ghana. It's not because the government wasn't doing well, but it's because people expected so much more. And the opposition in Ghana was smart enough to promise that so much more. And this was a generation, we had a generation of voters, most of them, who didn't know much about the differences in the approach of the NDC and NPP in terms of managing the country. So for some, very few people, and if you look at the voting pattern, very few people moved from the NPP, from the NDC to the NPP and vice versa. Very few people, because the NPP managed to maintain their 2012 figures in almost all the constituencies. But the NDC lost the 2012 figures, but not to the NPP. And so I am thinking that there were those who were disappointed and expected much more from the NDC, but didn't think that the NPP was the best option, and maybe coupled with some other reasons, just decided not to care who was going to win, And then you had some other people on the NPP side, they were hungry for power, and that's what did it for them.
Anyway, you're so close to the former president, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
He's going to contest the...
I can't say. He has requested that decision be left for him to take. And so no one is helping him take that decision.
What would you want?
I would want him to run again, personally. I want him to run again. I think that I'm yet to be convinced that he was the reason why we lost. I'm yet to be convinced that he was such a terrible candidate. I think that speaking to people who are sad about the NDC's loss, most of them will tell you sometimes they tell you that they are not actually sad that the NDC lost, but they are sorry for the president because they think that he was such a great guy, he did his best, but his people let him down. So you get that sense a lot. You get that sense a lot. So it tells you that he was, maybe some research will help, but I doubt if he was the bad candidate. I don't think
it was not the bad candidate.
I don't think he was.
He just had bad people around him, you say?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm reporting what I have heard from people say, that look, I'm not unhappy that the NDC lost. I am only sad that the president was let down. You hear that? I'm sure you've heard that too. You've heard that from people too.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so that's what I'm reporting. So it tells me that he's not a bad person, but perhaps people feel that he could have done better with, some other people and all that. It's all subjective.
Young, broadcasting and your experience, etc. And symptomatic of the period, what we have is transitioning from a party government to another. We always hear of all the things about bad agreements that have been signed, not duly investigated or not value for money, etc. Now we're hearing about a whole accommodation, whether it includes offices for the vice president of the republic, which is to the tune of some $13.9 million US. Huge money, if you ask me.
Yeah,
we also have deals, we're told, agreements signed by Cocoa Board within the last 3 months before the close of the year. Of course, within that period, we had a defeat to the government that has already left power. What do you make of it? If you were in my seat, how worried would you be?
I think that I don't have to be in your seat to be worried. I think that as a country, we keep doing this. When Rawlings left power in 2000, we did it. When President Kufuor left power in 2008, we did it. Now, John Mahama is out of power, and we're doing it again. It's nothing new. I have covered it this time around. Maybe I'm not covering it, but I've covered, such periods, and we have seen all these things. So for me, I've come to a certain conclusion that maybe it is time. Unfortunately, I'm no longer in that position to see it through, but maybe it's time to just share the focus. I'm not saying shift the focus, to share the focus that we give politicians with other people who don't stand elections. but also play critical roles in some of these deals that happen. I have gone to the ministries, I have seen chief directors, I have seen secretaries, I have seen managers who have served in Rawlings' era, who have served in Kufuor's era, who have served in John Maham's era, and who at various levels have been linked to these deals that we are talking about, but they never lose their positions. They stay till they retire. So, and we are all told that the politicians are just political heads, that the people who actually do the work are these people, but there's never any way of focusing on them and finding out what they really do as
because
as
when
a
you
country.
see some of the figures, they are mind-boggling. Just like in the past, we've seen some of the figures.
Let me give you an example. In the case of the vice president's building, I'm yet to hear of the involvement of a single politician, except to say that it happened under President Mahama, because it was a government contract, government of Ghana contract, that was given to a government company, AESL. And the AESL is not made up of politicians. So the AESL are responsible for the construction, and they were those who did the variations, they did the estimates, and we are even told that the vice president, who is a politician, that is a former vice president who is a politician, when his attention was drawn to it, he queried it and said this was too much. So that was the politician.
So why
reacting.
didn't you stop it then?
Well, that is the question you and I should be asking. But the point is that he queried it, and he actually, I'm told, said that no money should be advanced to the contractor again. And that is why the work is not finished today. But this was a contract that was handled purely by civil servants, by public servants, because we have all been saying that let's empower our institutions. And so this was a job for the AESL and others. So they should be addressing this matter better. But you see, in terms of the figures, let's just take our minds back. You know, and this is not to say that it is not huge. I am worried about the figure. But I was thinking about it, and I said to myself, how much did the Flagstaff House cost? And then the figure I got was $175 million thereabout. And then I said, okay, so what does the Flagstaff House have? Offices, presidential suite, security posts. That's what it has. Offices, presidential suite, security posts. 175. And how much are we saying the vice president residence is? About $13 million. And you have what? Vice presidents, we call it a suite. You have the second lady's office. You have security post. You have swimming pools that you don't have. I mean, so I'm saying, okay, so take 13 million from 175 million. And what would it have been a big issue if we're building the vice president's residence at the Flagstaff House? You know, at the time
it could have
that
been because the figures are mind-boggling.
So
perhaps maybe
the
media has become, and you, the MPs, have become a lot more conscious and more scrutinizing.
Yeah, and remember, Roland, in 2000, and we're talking, the Flagstaff House was 2007.
Yes,
175 million. Now just go and look at the Flagstaff House and ask yourself, $175 million? Okay, then you go and look at the vice president place, 13 point something.
So you think it's
You're tempted to say that, okay, if you could use 175 to put up this, then let's find out what this other will entail. And then you can see that, okay, maybe the figure sounds outrageous, but if 175 could give you this, maybe 13 million, if it's giving you this, is not bad. But I'm saying it's up to us as a people to really, I think what I want to say on this matter is that we should share the focus. I think the focus has been on the politician for far too long. We should share the focus. From Nkrumah till today, no government has left power but for corruption. But each time the politicians that are replaced also leave with the same tag. The people who never get disturbed are the civil servants and the public servants.
Well,
I respect them. I think they are hardworking. I think they are working under very difficult conditions. But I think we need to share the focus, because some of them too,
We have to leave you, and thanks for joining us this morning. And we know that your work at the Appointments Committee continues, and we wish you all the best.
I'm very grateful.
You did national service, by the way?
I did.
Okay. Because I know that you're looking at the subject of Wotiko Jaba.
Yes,
and I hear your side of the committee don't want to approve him. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't think she convinced us that she can, serve the interests.
Just because she didn't do national service?
That's
or the
one
other
of it. That's one of it.
Which are the others?
She's going to which ministry? Gender and children. And it's a very vulnerable ministry. Because it's supposed to
you mean she's going to work with vulnerable people?
Vulnerables. Because yes, thank you. That's what I meant. He's going to deal with vulnerable people. I mean, women issues are vulnerable issues. Children issues are vulnerable issues. Aged are vulnerable people. And so, for me, I don't think with her kind of abrasiveness, she fits that bill. I mean, people will say these are tangential issues. They are not legal issues. But they are the soft issues that are required in that particular ministry. Maybe if she was going to another ministry such as communication or maybe even information, maybe these issues will not be any issues to raise. But you're talking about a ministry that needs a cool head, somebody who has empathy. Somebody.
You think she's not empathetic?
I don't think so. I mean, there are other issues I will not even like. It's too early in the morning, to raise in relation to how she has conducted herself over the years. I don't think she fits the bill for that ministry, and that is the feeling of the majority. I mean, the minority.
I see. What did you do national service?
At Radio Gold.
Okay. Do you think there are other people, some of your colleagues, who perhaps could fall into the bracket of not having undertaken national service?
It's possible. I mean, national service, but you see, the minority leader even provided a remedy. I mean, there are instances where you can get reliefs from national service and all of that, but it's up to them. I think that national service is important, and I think that is the reason why it's a requirement for people to work in the public service. But then again, of concern to me in person is her nature and the ministry. That's what I'm
you just
worried
dislike
about.
her.
No,
Alhassan Suhuyini, thanks for joining us.
I don't dislike her. I like her.
Your point has been made.
I like her. But
Alhassan Suhuyini, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
And I've enjoyed. I would have wished to have gone on for another 15 minutes, but thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the
we're
opportunity.
grateful that you made the time for us. You don't hate multimedia by any way?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm very critical of multimedia, but I don't hate multimedia.
All right, thank you very much. Alhassan Suhuyini, Member of Parliament for Tamale North, here with us, helping us do discussions this morning, and we've been grateful for his time. But next, we have to do a discussion on cancer and how to avoid, especially ovarian cancer, and that'll be up next with Dr. Suhuyini. He will be having that discussion with Mamavi Owusu Abuaji. Up next.